Hey guys, so eventually I did get sucked into it and temptation got the better of me and I did get the MM731, but unfortunately I am going to return it and I'll tell you why right now. On a small other note though, as an update, the Pulsar X Lite Wireless, I've been really enjoying this mouse. The EC shape palm grip for me has been fantastic and this is going to be my main going forward. There are two issues with it though. My scroll wheel, side to side, it kind of has a little bit of a janky movement and it can get stuck if I move it left or right, but overall it's not a big deal because no one really uses side to side movement on your scroll wheel, and just positioning it back to its original position just keeps it steady. And also the holes in the sides, right, eventually I couldn't get used to it, and so I did use the grip tape that I bought from them at the end of the day. But however, the grip tape, it's not exactly the thinnest thing in the world. Later down the road, I may or may not try lizard skins, which apparently the best, but that's later down the road. So what I did was I didn't actually like how the grip tape, it kind of dug into my palms or the sides of my hands, especially on the right side of the Pulsar X Lite. So I did have to cut down the grip tape slightly to make it more comfortable. So it's only my fingers, the thumb, ring finger, and the pinky that actually make contacts with it. But overall, I've been playing well with this thing on Valorant. I absolutely adore it. Diamond 3, almost about to get Immortal. Hopefully Radiant this season. We'll see what happens. Now, MM731 from Cool Master. First off, price is really good. This is by far the cheapest mouse out of the bunch, and it's not that much cheaper, but it's the cheapest out of the bunch, right? And the packaging is by far the most efficient, smallest, and I would say budget I've seen, and you do get what you pay for with this mouse. One nice thing is that it does actually come with its own grip tape, they call it, but it's really not to make the mouse any grippier. It's more to make the mouse smoother from touch, at least, because the plastic finish on this mouse is already kind of sandpapery roughish, and the grip actually feels comfortable. I would say it's somewhere between the Pulsars and the Ninjutsu's glossy kind of feel. Now onto this mouse. It's lightweight. Deconstruction, it's decent, it's strong. I don't feel anything wrong with it. And honestly, a bit of a feat of engineering to keep it 58 grams or even lighter without having any holes whatsoever. But for the price you pay, you do start to see some little things, such as parts of the mouse feels a little bit cheaper, I would say. So you know, the mouse feet, it's so thin, you can barely see it. I would dare say it's thinner than the Ninjutsu's. Maybe it's the tolerances or the depth of the plastic itself, but it's really not noticeable. And the mouse feet as well, around the sensor, the ring, it's evidently lower down than the main mouse feet, so I'm not really sure what purpose that really serves at all. And in terms of, you know, the cover to hold onto the dongle, the receiver, it's just a cheap piece of plastic that's just attached on. And maybe if you keep taking it on and off in the future, it may eventually give out. I'm not too sure. It's nice how they have, what was that, a Dpi switch, and that's a Bluetooth pairing button. So, like, functionality, diversity, this mouse is actually on paper very good. Bluetooth battery life is advertised at, what, 200 hours? And wired is obviously there, and there's a 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth, which is for your standard gaming. Overall, going into the software as well, I didn't really notice any hiccups or anything too bad about it. People say it's terrible, but for me, it was a mostly painless experience. It's not that bothersome, really. The software, it's not the best. Updating the firmware and everything wasn't the smoothest process, but eventually you get over it, and it's reasonably simple. I do like the LED lighting on it. I have it turned off because I don't have it plugged in right now. It's very minimalistic, but if you're like a serious, you know, gamer or anything and wanting their wireless mouse to last the longest, you're probably going to turn it off to just extend the battery life by that much. Now, seriously, on to Deconstruction. That's right. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this in one take because I'm genuinely not bothered to talk more about this mouse. It's just not for me, to say the least. You get what you pay for, right? And you can sort of feel it in the construction. Like the edges of the mouse, it's sharp. If I run my finger around that, it feels like it almost cuts in. And the shape of it as well, I'll get to that a little bit later, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Also, some tolerances, such as where the plastic, you know, you see the plastic fusing or where they meet, it's kind of evident, and it just feels a little bit, it looks a little bit cheap almost. It doesn't feel cheap, it's strong and it's very light, but it's just when you look at it in depth, you just feel you do get what you pay for. And honestly, if you're on a slight budget and you don't want to shell out extra cash for those two, this is a solid option if you're not palm gripping. So this is my main issue with this mouse. I palm grip my mice, which is why I like the Pulsar's EC shape so much. The Ninjutsu, it's good, slightly flatter, but notice one thing. The hump position of the ninjutsu, it's more centered. So when I put it into my palm, it feels like there's more to fill it, so to speak, right? But however, for the MM731, the hump, it's more positioned towards the back, as you can see by that. So it more fills out the back of my hand and the interior of my palm. Like that hole right there, it's empty. So I can't actually make full contact with the mouse. So I'm palm finger gripping it, whatever it's called nowadays. So my hand's 18 centimeters by 11. It doesn't quite work out too well, palm gripping the MM731, and it's just not as comfortable as I would have liked. If you're claw gripping it or fingertip gripping, I think you'll do perfectly fine. You'll absolutely love the ergonomics and the edge curves, etc. But for me, it's just not it. Also, when I do palm gripper, I want to talk about a few things. The thumb groove, it feels exactly the same as the ninjutsus. That curve, it's comfortable. Your thumb just slides right in. But however, the right side, my pinky and ring finger, when I'm holding onto it, there's not a lot of room for them to really hold onto or sit in, so to speak, right? So the pulsars, when I hold onto it, I make full contact with my palm. It's comfortable, and also when I click anything, there won't be any interference with my ring finger and the right mouse button. There's plenty of room for the fingers to really grip onto. But this mouse being flatter towards the front as well, my ring finger and pinky, they tend to kind of touch the mouse pad a little bit. Plus, if I hold it as a neutral grip, hands on, first thing, and I right click, the right mouse button, it actually does catch my ring finger. That's because I palm grip it, and that's how I grip my mice. Maybe also because my hands are just not the right size for the MM731. So it really is unfortunate how things turned out. So overall, I am actually going to return this mouse. I've already applied for it, and hopefully they do accept. I've only used it, I haven't damaged it at all. If they don't accept, then if anyone's in Melbourne or Australia in general, feel free to hit me up. I'm willing to sell it to you at a slightly cheaper price. Yeah, not really much more to talk about. The glide on the mouse feet, yeah, sure, it's nice, I guess. It's a very light mouse, and honestly, if you're anyone worth their salt, you'll eventually get aftermarket feet when it comes out. So there's nothing much to talk about in terms of that. And plus, it takes time for these things to break in. Overall, guys, the MM731, if this is the shape for you, if you're okay with the hump more recessed into the back and you don't palm grip it with a slightly larger hand size, I think you'll be fine. I haven't noticed any issues with anything else about this mouse. Even the switches, to me, honestly, it feels fine. No double clicking. They're decently tactile. They make decent sounds, but post-travel, there is slight post-travel of sorts. It's not the end of the world, but if you're not into it and it really does irk you, then that may not be your thing. Scroll wheel as well, I forgot to talk about. It's like the ninjutsu scroll wheel, but quieter. Very defined steps, almost kind of stiff. It's nice. Overall, cheap price. Great complete package that comes in the box, but larger hands, palm gripping, it definitely won't work out for you. Fingertip claw grip, then sure, go for it, consider it. Battery life, weight, it might actually be a breadwinner in this aspect. If I had to say anything as a bottom line, I would think that maybe Clawmaster, they hadn't fully finished this product. It's almost there, but some parts just aren't quite fleshed out or refined, and it comes with maybe the price you pay for it. Now that I'm holding it, another small thing I want to talk about is this back edge here of the plastic, right? It's kind of sharp, and also it's literally, it's just at the very edge. So when you swipe sometimes, depending on how you may position your mouse, you may notice the plastic might catch on the mouse pad. But if you compare the ninjutsus with the pulsars, it's hard to see because it's black on black, but they are slightly more rounded. So you won't merely have that much of an issue with it. Small thing, but in realistic use, you may not notice. Your mileage may vary. So everyone, thanks for watching. I still will be maining the Pulsar X Lite Wireless going on from here. This is going to be my favorite mouse thus far. If they ever come out with a holeless version on the sides in the future, maintaining that sub 60 weight or even 60 grams, I'm all for it. 3370 sensor, it's perfect, it's beautiful. Battery life is great, no issues whatsoever. This is going to have to get returned. I'm sorry. The recessed hump on the back, it's just not for me. Thank you, guys.